Welcome to Play to Your Best, a summit bringing together experts in mindset, nutrition, training, and recovery. And really, gosh, this is the topic of today is showing up for yourself and as yourself. And this is the expertise that our guest, Tammie Bennett, this is her why. This is what you do. And so welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Oh my goodness. So, as we show up fully and as ourselves, I just want to just share with you that the listener that how this came about is Tammie came on and we just started connecting, and she just started sharing about an Instagram post that you had and what the Instagram post meant. And I just said, we've got to have this interview today. And so, because it is exactly where we need to be. And I'm so thrilled that you said yes. And we're going to share all the pieces of you and in this conversation and how we can bring your message out to females that want to be in health, in mind, and in body, and in soul. So before I get there, I just also want to say one more thing. There's, how we come into our being is important, and how we have our different identities is important. And Tammie is also a runner. She's a writer, mother, wife, and an artist. I want to hear a little bit about your art. What is your art form that you love?
I do a lot of kinds of art. I mostly paint and draw. But I started my career in art licensing, and then I had my own stationery business. And now I'm here.
Super interesting, because, often if I start rambling about all my identities, athlete is one. I was like, oh yeah, but I'm an athlete. I'm not very creative. Like, I don't have that. And I think this idea of like who we are and how we show up is sometimes we don't expand our idea of what creative is. Mm-hmm. And we want to kind of put that as like an artist is X, somebody who draws, paints, I don't know, other stuff. Yeah. And so this idea of we all have creativity within us. I love it that it's an important component for you.
Yeah. And, I see a really strong connection between being an athlete and being creative, because when there are times I work with a lot of artists, when I, as an artist, or my clients as artists have been blocked, I say, move your body, go outside, go for a walk, go for a run, dance around. And the movement unblocks something in the brain and allows that creativity to happen. So I think they really go hand in hand if you just, open your mind to being both the artist and the athlete.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's creating space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like athletes want to come into the creativity and the space of where are the other angles that I can go to, because we can get so focused in on doing it one way. Mm-hmm. I need to do this exercise in this way to be able to Well, ain't the truth. That ain't right. The truth.
Yeah.
So let's come back, if you will. And would you share your story and about the Instagram post and what it is and your journey to it and what it's meaning to the women and females that are coming around you, and what we can learn, and how you are taking your work and really applying it into what does this mean, authenticity and our authentic self.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this without rambling. I think I can do it. So it started off, I guess if we just go back to the beginning of this year of 2022, I started having all kinds of changes with my body, not really sure what was going on, kind of putting off going to the doctor because I just was confused, a little bit nervous. What are they going to tell me? And I finally just showed up, went to the doctor. We had this beautiful conversation, and it turns out I am going through menopause. I am, in the thick of it right now. And one of the kind of signals to me that something was going on was a rapid weight gain. And I grew up as a competitive runner. I started competing at age 9. I ran all through high school, college, post-collegiate. And so, body image is something that gets affected, I think, when you're in that competitive world of being an athlete, especially, distance runners. And so I was having a little bit of a hard time accepting my body. And I don't fault myself for that because of the society that we grow up in. When you're told that a certain body shape or size is the one that's the right one, and all of a sudden you don't have that, I don't blame myself for letting those thoughts come in. Like, what's going on? Something's wrong. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And then being a high achieving woman, I turned that into, what am I doing wrong? I must be eating something wrong. I must be working out the wrong way. Now I turned it into a problem that I was creating instead of a beautiful, natural, physical phenomenon that happens to women. And so something in that beautiful conversation I had with my doctor when she explained actually like how fat goes to your midsection and it helps you actually with estrogen levels, all these things that had a real concrete reason was so calming to me. So that's just a little bit of background. I talked about this on one of my podcast episodes, and it resonated with people like you wouldn't believe. Just the vulnerability that I was sharing. Part of that episode, I said that I was a little bit scared to be seen on camera. So I am a life coach. I show up on Instagram quite a bit. And if you look back, you'll see a month or two where you hardly saw my face at all. And I just felt, I was just coping with this new body, this new shape, this new size, the new ability, because I was having a lot of joint pain. I couldn't do as much. And so I just kind of hid. And on that podcast episode, I said, I don't want to hide anymore. It makes me cry, but I just want to be me. I just want to be seen for who I am. And I always lean towards the fun. What would be a fun way for me to show up as I am in all my glory, whatever shape, size, ability I am in right now? How can I have fun showing that? And so I kind of brought some of my loves together, which is fitness and dancing. And I decided I was going to do this project for myself. 30 days of fitness dancing is what I'm calling it. It's basically just jazzercise, but I'm not having any choreographed moves. I put on music and I show up and I dance fitness style and I share it. And I posted one yesterday. This is what led us to this conversation right now.
Yeah.
That I think is the most vulnerable post maybe that I've ever done. I was, as I described it to you, in an ill-fitting bathing suit and no shorts, nothing covering up, my midsection, letting it all hang out. It literally felt like it was hanging out. And I was jumping around listening to music. And in that moment when I am dancing and moving my body, I'm not for 1 second thinking about what my body looks like or what it can and can't do or what size or shape it is. I am so in the moment of joy of the, knowing I get to move my body and have fun. I don't even think for a second about what it looks like. And it's such a beautiful moment. And it's really important for me to share that with people and to see the connection and messages that I got from people watching that video. Was amazing. It was beautiful. And it led me, this series, that was day 20. So this has been 20 days of absolute tremendous growth and love and acceptance for my body, about my body. And one of the things that really hit home to me is that all this talk about being authentic and being vulnerable so many times focuses on sharing the dark parts of us, the scary stuff, the sad stuff, the secret stuff that we don't want people to see. So oftentimes when we talk about be authentic, be vulnerable, we're oftentimes taught that means like the dark, scary stuff, the stuff that usually you'd want to hide. But what this project has showed me is that it's also so important to show the joy. And this makes me cry again, but to show the pleasure of being, of just being. Like how beautiful. And I think that is such a huge part of authenticity that women don't really understand or get because we're not taught. We're not taught to share our joy and our celebration and our wins, our accomplishments, our beauty, like our real beauty, right? Not just the body physical beauty. So anyway, it's been such a good lesson in a million different ways, but that might be the biggest one, is that authenticity is a full picture. It is both sides. It's the dark and the light. And we really need to show both, not only for ourselves, but to connect and to show other women it's okay and important to show both. Show us the dark and the light. Let us connect with both of those. So there you go.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. First of all, thank you so much for sharing yourself so fully. And because it is humanity, right? Like when people are reaching out to you and connecting to you because they see themselves in such a powerful way and will have freedom. I think this is what it's allowing, is this freedom to be without the image. And you're right, we're in a soup of, well, you're supposed to's and look likes and athletes, like Google athlete and what an athlete looks like.
Right.
Not most of us. And so, yeah, thank you for doing that and taking it on, because it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage to do it. And it like you said, it's just been such a journey. Now I want to come into this idea of joy. Like I totally get this. Like we think about authenticity as I was challenged, I've gotten through it, and so now I'm all okay. Everything's fine. Now, right? We will be authentic when, and so it's a little bit of it's not just about it's we will be authentic to share that dark spot, but now that we're through it.
Yes. I actually was taught this in one of when I was getting certified for coaching. One of the coaches was teaching us that you really shouldn't share your struggles until after you've overcome them, because who wants to work with a coach who's struggling? And I thought that doesn't make any sense to me at all, because I actually want to work with people that are walking the walk and struggling and getting through it, because it helps me to see how they're getting through it. And oh, maybe I can get through my struggle too. And so you're so right on that. We are pretty much taught, I think, or only feel safe to share our vulnerability after we've gotten on to the other side. And I think there's beauty in sharing it in the middle.
Yeah. And I think that there's I'm curious, and I'm as you're working through this, as understanding, okay, I'm coming into the, one of my favorite people and humans in the world, and that's Brené Brown. And she talks about, it's okay to have boundaries. So we're not talking, and I think that maybe, I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about a little bit of what authenticity looks like, what vulnerability looks like. And yet being able to be in that safe spot with boundaries, and know that that doesn't mean like just share all, be all, and not in a place that you feel safe. And can you talk a little bit about that and what some of the evolution of your thinking on that piece of it?
Yeah, I think that's really important that you said that, because even with this post yesterday, my 20th post, there was a moment before I put publish that I thought, am I really going to do this? Because, some of the positions of the dance, I felt like, oh my gosh, my belly is really hanging out. My legs are really jiggling. What are people going to say when they see this? And so I had this moment where I just paused with myself. Am I going to publish this, and why? And I just created this safety within myself. And a lot of the ways that I teach about creating safety for yourself is, if you sort of put yourself in, what would be the worst thing that could happen here? And can I handle that? And am I okay with that?
Yeah.
I also spend a minute in, what is the best thing that could happen here? And am I okay with that? And so for me, the worst thing that could happen is somebody made a mean comment. I could handle that. The best thing is that other people could connect and feel like they're okay to dance around in their bathing suit and have fun and just feel their bodies and their joy. And I'm okay with that. And so just that self check-in, that pause, where do I feel safe? Am I okay with the worst case scenario? Am I okay with the best case scenario? And if the answer is yes, then why not share it? And so I hit submit or publish, whatever, with joy and glee. And I thought, okay, here we go. Let's see. Yeah.
That is brilliant. I think it's really brilliant, because it's understanding that we can have these boundaries for ourselves and take that. I think the point, like Viktor Frankl, my favorite quote is, the space between stimulus and response lies, I'm going to totally not say this quote right, but lies the freedom, anyways, your power, and that you're creating the space,
right?
Stimulus. Right. And then the response would the click, and you created the space to kind of say, am I okay with this? And that is the boundary. That's your guardrail right there. Mm-hmm. To stay on within that, and enabling ourselves to, and if you had decided, you know what, I don't know if I'm okay. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too.
Absolutely.
And because I don't know if I'm in a spot that I can share. So it's going back to that kind of that teaching of when I've had a hard time talking about my own body and my experience in my body. And now I can talk about it. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't always in a good spot that I felt like I could actually be, like of service. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the story.
Yes.
Because I was in the story.
Yes. I
had no freedom from the story. I think maybe that's where we can go, is like this idea of authenticity okay. So there's my question, is what is this idea of authenticity, and how do we pull it apart from the story that we might be telling ourselves that actually is not our authentic self, because it is a story that we have of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that we are trapped within this idea of what we have become or what we are being. What would you say to that?
This is good. Yeah. I think, if we kind of combine what you just said with what that coach taught me, is maybe it does make sense. And maybe this was her point of not really sharing the struggle until you are maybe a step or two past it, because by then you have created that safety in yourself to be able to share it, and share it from a clean place. And also maybe there's a little bit of service component where, because you have made your way through it enough to feel safe to talk about it and share it, you have a little insight or maybe a little tip to give somebody about how you made it through. Mm-hmm. And to show them that it's possible to make it through and to figure this out, to create safety for themselves to then share it. Yeah. So I think, allowing ourselves, and I think, you can never go wrong with checking in on yourself and saying, is this what I want to do? Is this okay?
Yeah. Is this okay for me? And am I okay? And if I'm not okay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that, I think Glennon Doyle talked about bravery in a really cool way, that bravery doesn't always mean doing the scary thing. Sometimes bravery to you might look like not doing the thing, because sometimes that's braver to say, you know what, I'm not actually going to do that thing that maybe we should do or think we should do. Maybe that's the braver choice.
Yeah. She said that about her daughter.
Yeah.
This is in the book Untamed. If you have not read Untamed, it's one that you may want to pick up. Mm-hmm. Yes. We read it together. We sometimes read books within my program together. And it was one that we took on, and everybody was highlighting and flipping corners. And it's such a brilliant book. Let's talk a little bit more about, so tell me a little bit more about how we, in the authentic self and this permission to be, tell us how you are supporting it in for females beyond and allowing them in other facets of our lives. So how does it go from here and then keep reaching out into how we show up in this one area? So you're dancing, you're finding joy, mm-hmm. you're being in your body. Now, what I'm curious about is how this, and how you, as a life coach, how you bring this and say, okay, now we can come centered in this place, and this can now resonate in how you show up with your family, how you show up with your other priorities. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think so much of it is about creating safety. And I think one of the ways that you can create safety is to do it a little bit and then stop and look around and say, okay, I'm still okay. Everybody's still okay. Can I do a little bit more? Because if you're not out there starting to take that challenge, starting to put yourself out there, it's hard to create safety from a really safe place, right? Which it seems kind of funny, but you can't even test your safety limits. You can't even test what you can and can't do by not doing anything.
Right.
And so I just kind of say, you just show up a little bit. Maybe it starts by you saying no to somebody that's asking you to do something.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. And then you say, oh, wait, the world is still turning. My kids are still talking to me. I'm still okay. And then you realize, okay, can I do a little bit more? Next time, can I do a little bit more, something that feels a little bit more out of my comfort zone? And then you pause and reset. You say, okay, I'm still okay. The world is still turning. My kids still talk to me. And then you just, step by step, you kind of come out of your house, right? Because, if we just want to use the house example, when you're in your house, things that might feel scary might not actually be scary. And you'll never know until you put a foot onto the porch and then see, oh, it's okay to be on the porch. Then you go one step down. Oh, it's okay to be one step down. So that's just kind of how I help lead. I think by example too, is by saying, okay, what can I do now to can I make my comfort zone just a little teeny bit bigger, and then pause, reset, create safety again, and then go again.
It's a principle of stretching, isn't it? Of stretching and learning and taking things on. And I had this wonderful, I have a wonderful friend who was also a mountain bike coach, and I was learning how to mountain bike for the first time. And man, so here I was, from a world-class athlete taking on, cyclists, they triathletes, cyclists on the road. And then I get onto a mountain bike and I was like anything but world class. Had an engine to boot, but let me tell you, you put some dirt under me and I was like, what am I doing here?
Right.
And he gave me the advice that I take, and you're bringing it up, and he shared, he's like, you'll know that you can do that drop when you feel like you can do that drop.
Yeah.
And it's like it's this kind of this edge of, I think I can do it. I'm not sure if I can do it. And if you come into that edge and just be like, I do not feel comfortable or safe.
Right.
You're not ready for it. Find a smaller drop.
Exactly. Right. But if we want to talk about this, so when you're getting the bike out of your car in the parking lot where you're hiking, mountain biking, you can't tell anything about that drop. You don't know if you're safe to do it or not because you can't even see it. So you have to get up to it on the precipice of it, because then from there you can say, do I feel safe? So that's what I mean by taking that little step. So maybe that first step is just getting your bike to the precipice and then saying, not today, but you made it to there to look around you and to figure out for yourself if you feel safe, but you can't do it from the parking lot.
No. And also to understand what possibility is.
Yeah.
Right. To say, oh, and then you watch somebody go just flying off of it. Yes. And just feel like they're doing it. Yes. There's an incredible woman, North Shore Betty. It's on a YouTube, and she's a 70-year-old mountain biker. And it's truly that is saying, okay, well, I can see somebody and I know that it's possible. That was the gift that you gave. Yes. In this Instagram, is that this is possible. You might not be there. You might need to be in the safe place of your home and just start to move. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then, because this is day 20 that you've done it. So talking about the process, you are right in the process here. Day 20, you are able, you send and you put out into the world. Here I am in my bathing suit, ill-fitting, as you say. Mm-hmm. And there were many steps, 2 months of not showing up on video. Yes. Of showing up for yourself, probably in many ways, of trying to understand, where am I? What's happening? Thank goodness you had a doctor that was educated and understood. Yes. I mean, that was a really wonderful gift. And I'm so glad to hear that, because we hear a lot of the other stuff too. Yes. Is there anything else that you wanted to share in where you're at right now, or what you would want our listeners to take from your story and from your work that you do with women? Yeah, I think sort of tied into this idea that authenticity equals, or hopefully equals, showing both the light and the dark. Mm-hmm. I think that we need to find more of the light inside of us. I think women are really hard on themselves. We're really good at finding all the things that we're not great at or not doing enough of. And I
kind of require. I don't require much of my clients, but one thing I do require is when we meet each time, we talk about their wins. We talk about something good that they created in their life. And I take it a step farther. That's really important. So you have this great thing that happened in your life. You got a job, let's say. How did you create that? It didn't just happen to you. You weren't just a victim of the circumstances, like in a good way, a good victim, right? This job didn't just fall into your lap. And women are so quick to say, oh, well, I knew a friend who knew a friend and they liked me and they recommended
we
me.
downplay.
Yes. And so stop the downplaying, start the upplaying. And you don't have to yell it from the rooftops, but to yourself, acknowledge how you created that beautiful thing in your life. Because once you do that, once you take ownership of this stuff that you're creating, you can go do more of it. And then when you're doing more of it, you show other people that it's possible to do more. And so it's just this whole ripple effect that starts with us. Owning our wins, owning what we created, and then it ripples around to everybody around us. And then it ripples from them to their daughters and their sisters and their friends. So it really does start with you.
I think it's an incredibly important point. And it is absolutely not within our culture necessarily, at least not in the world that I live in, that it's okay. It's humble. We need to be humble. We need to not really put it out there. And I thank you for, pushing us in this conversation to say, let's do it. Let's say. And it can be really small. I'll give an example. What I do now, because I don't, at dinner table, I am predominantly the one who cooks. I like to cook. I enjoy doing it. I choose to do it. And my husband and my two children, who are very young, so they don't quite get this. They're only 3 and 5.
Okay.
And they never really comment on the meal. And so at the end of the meal, I'll always finish. And thank you, Mom. And for making such an incredibly nourishing and beautiful meal. I just enjoyed it so
It's
thoroughly.
so good. It's so good. Yes.
It's like, It's my win, because it took a lot of work to get that meal that I thought about and I care about, and to nourish my family and its pride.
Yes.
And I'm not going to hear it because my husband does it. I mean, I'd have to put it in an app for him to actually acknowledge.
Yes.
So it's these small things. I think that it's not about, we don't have to wait till it's something big. We don't have to wait.
Oh yeah. That's a really, really good point. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's huge.
Yeah.
Because so many of us think it has to be the end of our goal. Like we can't celebrate our training until after we complete the marathon. It's like, no, you get to celebrate every time you do a long run.
Oh yeah.
Right. Or every time you do a speed workout. Like there's so many celebrations.
Up when it was hard, like what you said, or in what I remind my athletes, is sometimes it's to say, no, this training session isn't right for me today.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a celebration in itself, and say, you know what, my stress is too high. I know this isn't going to nourish me. I need to create flexibility and another variation of this, what I'm about today.
Absolutely. Can I just say 2 more quick things?
Yeah, I want you to. Yeah.
So one that reminded me of it when you were saying that you tell yourself, great dinner, is every time I post on Instagram, I like it right away. And I told people I do this and they're like, what? You like your own post? And I'm like, hell yeah, I like my own post. If I don't like it, then how am I going to expect other people to like it? I want to be proud of myself and I want to give myself that tiny little high five. So it might seem like the tiniest thing, but I'm telling you, it has changed how I think about it. Every time I post, I like it because I do like it. I like that I showed up. I like what I had to say. I like me. I like my voice. So that's one thing. Oh, it's kind of fun and reminded me of that when you were saying that about your dinner.
Yeah.
And the other thing is if we just backtrack a little teeny bit to showing people what's possible.
Yeah.
The reason why I want women to talk about their wins a little bit is to show other women that it's possible. So I am lucky enough that I got to help coach with the Bowerman Track Club, their youth group, and that, they also have an Olympic division where they have, 8 or 9 women that have run in the Olympics and world championships and medaled. And my kids are lucky enough to get to train there too, or they were when they were younger. And at practice, you have these women coming up with their medals from world championships and from Olympic games. And they're stating, next time, like, this is great. Here's my goal. I mean, here's my medal. And you know what my goal is for next time? And they're saying these audacious goals. And these little girls are thinking, oh, wait, I'm allowed to state big goals. I'm allowed to come and show people, so it is this whole thing of possibility, by you sharing your wins, by you sharing your outlandish goals, you give other people permission to do it too. And now you have all of these little girls that are growing up saying that they can, tell about their wins, they can show their medal to their friends, and they can say what their big goals are. And it's such a beautiful thing. It can shift everything.
It's representing what's possible. It's,
Yes.
At the core
Yeah.
of my Element Race team, it's representing what's possible. It's a team of, people, we are 20 to 60. We have a whole age range, and it's showing up and being, taking, it's that showing up, representing what's possible, and saying it's possible to dream, it's possible to do.
Yep. Yeah. So good what you're doing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love, and yourself. It's why this conversation is so important to have. I have 3 questions for you, and they're rapid fire questions that I'm asking everyone. And I will let everybody know that I have not presented these questions to you in advance, so it might take a pause for you to think about. So the first question that I have for you is, what is one thing that you are just so absolutely excited about learning right now, that I can hazard a guess, but one thing that you just love digging into and that you're excited about?
Yeah, this seems weird to kind of strange to say, but I'm excited to learn about trauma-informed coaching. I had a traumatic childhood, and I would like to unwrap that a little bit. So it seems weird to say I'm excited about trauma, but I am excited to learn about how it is stored in the body and how you can release it from the body. That's really exciting to me. I have a lot of kind of ongoing pains that I know are directly connected to some childhood stuff. And I can't wait to learn how to release those and just have freedom of movement, freedom of spirit. So
what an important area of work that you're doing and learning about. Gabor Mate is somebody obviously speaks a lot to trauma, and we all have trauma.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to look in a certain way, or it doesn't have to be, just like our wins don't have to be these massive wins to celebrate. It's that trauma is the ones that we experience as they come. And fantastic. It's brilliant, truly brilliant. All right. My second question that I have is, what is one thing you're grateful for right now?
I love this question. So I've kept a gratitude journal every day for 11 years now. November 9th will be my 12th year anniversary, I think. So gratitude is super important to me. So you said, what am I thankful for?
Grateful for. Yeah. What are you thankful for?
Yeah. I didn't know if you said who or what. So, because my who's are just, they were just given, right?
Yeah.
So what am I thankful for? I want to pick something I haven't picked in a while. So when I do my gratitude journal, I try to pick something different. This sounds so weird, but I'm just looking at it right now. I have this new glass. It's a double-walled glass, but I'll just show it to you. I know the listeners can't see it, but there's something about the weight of it that makes me love drinking water so much. And I'm not usually a big water fan. It's something I've been working on for years, but this makes it enjoyable to drink the water. So I'm grateful for, the beautiful glass that helps me do the water intake. Yeah.
That is so brilliant, because how do we shift and create new habits? Sometimes it's just the glass that you brought by.
Right. And this is back to my thing of how can it be fun? I literally love carrying this glass around. I mean, I've used it straight for days. I wash it in between, but to bring the fun in, how can you make this more enjoyable? Put it in a pretty glass.
This is going to be perfect. Segue into the final rapid fire question that we have. And that is, what is one principle that you live by?
Oh, this is good. I have so many. Well, I'll give you my sort of principle / mantra for this year, which fits perfectly into what we're saying. I got it engraved on my planner, but be more you, more often, to more people. And that's really what I am trying to do in my life and to help people do. Be more you, more often, to more people.
Perfect. I love it. Well, I'm going to give you the last word of our conversation. And I just really want to thank you for showing up so fully, being ready just to dive right into your experience that is so recent for you, and to to have the space and the wisdom and the grounding to do it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And my last word is thank you to you for doing what you do and for helping all the people that you help. It's a beautiful thing that you have going on. And I'm feel fortunate that I got to chat with you today and talk a little bit more and get to meet you and know you. It's so good what you're doing.
Thank you so much.